It's time for Ask Mike Mondays. Mike answers one listener's question every week. Here's Michael Becker and Paul Peebles.
Welcome to Ask Mike Mondays. I'm your host, Paul Peebles, National Underwriter for Old Capital. And joining me today, of course, is Michael Becker.
Hey, Paul.
Michael being the smartest guy in the room today.
There's only two of us, so what does that say about you, I guess?
Not much. So I'd ask Mike Mondays. We have a listener ask a question, and this week, listener asks, what does it take to become a deal sponsor? What does it take to become a deal sponsor? Mike, can you answer that question for us?
Yeah, so being a deal sponsor, when these deals get put together, virtually all of them are in a syndicated environment that we work on. It's very rare to have independent person just front all the money for a deal and own 100% of it. These transactions are pretty large, so you need to have resources of others and pool capital to get these deals done in most cases. And so to be a deal sponsor is really kind of broken down into two facets. You kind of have the upfront acquisition, kind of putting the deal together. Then you have it, once you own it, how you can operate and communicate with everyone. So I'll kind of start with the upfront. So to be a deal sponsor, one of the things you definitely need to have is access to deals. If you can't locate properties to buy, then you kind of just all academic at that point. So making sure you go out and get networked. The brokerage community in the multifamily space, especially here in Texas and DFW, there's a handful of brokers. There's 8 or 10 brokers that control probably 80% of the B and C deals that trade in DFW. So you need to be able to go out, go to events, meet them, build personal relationships with them, get on their list, tour their deals, underwrite them, and really kind of be known to them. It's one thing in this business, no one's going to come to your office or your house and knock on your door and try to give you a deal. You need to get out there. One good way is Paul puts on these quarterly speaker series, Old Capital speaker series, and going out to the Grapevine Convention Center. We usually have, 8 or 10 of the brokers in town that come out to those, Paul?
Correct.
Yeah, so that would be a good event. That's a good example of events. Or going to local meetup groups, depending if you're not in Texas. There's local meetup groups virtually in all the major cities across the country, or going to local real estate investment clubs. Those are places where you can go out and start getting networked. Another thing you need to do is, speaking of networking, is you need to get a list of passive investors. So most people think of kind of friends and families where they start. So kind of, your mom, your dad, your uncle, or your best friend from high school or college, trying to get them to give you $50,000, $100,000 to pool into a deal. That's certainly a way where a lot of people start, but eventually if you want to do enough of this, you're going to run out of those. So you need to continue to go out and get networked and go to local RIAs, local meetup groups. One of the guys that we've had on the podcast, I'll give him a plug here, Brad Sumrock. He's a local apartment educator, mentor, and he has these events. You can go to there. That's a great place to meet other people that are interested in multifamily investing and real estate investing in general, multifamily specific. So you kind of already have that hurdle cleared that they already buy into the investment in general. Just got to kind of now at that point sell them on you and sell them on your specific deal. So those are some of the things on the front end of it. Also, you need to, of course, the team members I'll quickly run through. You need to get networked with a property management company, a lawyer, and of course, a good mortgage broker like Old Capital to kind of help you get the transaction pulled together on the front end and get it closed. And then once you own it, now what? How do you operate it? So obviously, your property management company will do most of the day-to-day lifting. So you need to make sure you have good communication skills with them, as well as once you own it, you need to make sure you, on a regular basis and frequently, give updates to all your passive investors. Usually, one of the big things that causes some other deal sponsors some problems if they just kind of go MIA and don't communicate very well with people. I think at least on a monthly basis, you should be sending out property management reports and giving them a brief update of what's going on the property. Then as you do big capital projects, you paint the building or you upgrade the office, whatever, you need to start sending some photos out to everybody. That's a good way to kind of show people photos or videos, things like that, to kind of show them that you're not just taking the money and putting it in your pocket, you're putting it back into the deal. And that picture's worth 1,000 words. So that's really one of the things that you do. And then as well as making sure that two of the big things that we do are both related to taxes as deal sponsors. Make sure that you get your tax returns done in a timely fashion, especially if you have a lot of different passive investors. They're all going to want their K-1s and file their taxes on time. So make sure you get that done on a timely basis, as well as working with a good property tax consultant that can help you with your annual property tax protest. Virtually in every state, it's a big deal, but in particular in Texas, it's such a large line item that we have in our operating budget to go in and fight it every year is virtually a must.
So I definitely agree with Mike. I mean, I'll put my 2 cents in here is build your team, but also build your knowledge level as much as you can. So you're only as strong as your team, and real estate investment clubs like whether it's Lifestyles Unlimited or other groups in and around the Dallas-Fort Worth, Houston, San Antonio areas, but also to talk with your circle of influences like your CPA, your attorney, or even personal business owners that may have some cash too. So make sure that you also have your elevator speech down, and then you can define what you do within a minute or two. I invest people's money in multifamily real estate for a couple of years and give them a rate of return that's better than what they could possibly get in the market. So another success story I want to talk a little bit about is we have a meetup group in the Northern California area that we support, and we support several meetup groups. We've traveled out there and we've spoken to the group of, say, 75 software engineers in Silicon Valley. Build your own meetup group and bring in guest speakers, just like Mike says that what we do, and bring in industry experts, that real estate attorneys, title people, apartment management people, people, investors, people that want to get into this business but may not want to be deal sponsors but want to invest. They're hungry for information. Make yourself the smartest guy in the room, as I always say, like Michael Becker is. So align yourself with smart speakers and get to know your investors, because you can't ask them for equity until they know you and you know them. So my best advice is really do the right thing for your client, because success breeds success. You can ask Michael Becker that his first deal now is his 20th deal with the same investors because they've trusted him and he's done the right thing. Anything more to add to that, Mike?
Yeah, no, I think character integrity is great to deliver good news, but you need to deliver bad news faster. So when you're having issues on these properties, you need to make sure you communicate that with them. Everyone has a plan, and then your plan is always different in reality than what you plan. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse, but communication, I think, is key, making sure everyone's aware of what's going on the property. Those are some of the things that, do the right thing for the property and the investors, and everything else kind of take care of itself in the long run.
That sounds good. Some great advice, Mike. Anybody wanted to get some additional information on how to put, say, transactions together, get a little multifamily 101 financing? We have a 10 or 15 page white paper report on multifamily financing that I think you would find informative. Again, send us an email at info@oldcapitallending. We'll send you out that white paper report, and then you can probably see what we're doing on like a weekly basis and the transactions that we're closing. So just to give you an idea, not just the deal flow, but how they were kind of structured, we think that's a pretty good idea. Anything else, Michael?
Yeah, definitely. If you found this information informative and helpful, we would certainly appreciate it if you go to iTunes or Stitcher and leave us write us a review and leave us a 5-star rating. That certainly helps us move up the rankings within iTunes and Stitcher. That would be very helpful, and be very grateful of that.
Again, I hate to commit to you, Michael, but if people wanted to have a conversation with you about, syndication or even whatever you do, a little bit about getting some background in you, are you open for a conversation with some people?
Sure, yeah, I don't mind having a brief conversation with people. The best way to reach me would be my email through SPI Advisor, where we do the multifamily syndication. It's mbecker@spiadvisor.com. That's mbecker@spyadvisor.com.
So get to know Michael Becker, the smartest guy I know, at least in this room. So thanks for listening to Ask Mike Mondays. We'll talk to you next week.